Well, hello, class or classes. I have a really good book today to read to you, and it is about a young girl who's with her grandfather Tang, and it is a story about tangrams. And I'm going to read in the back of the book about what tangrams are in case you're not familiar with them. But I'm going to show you the first page that I'm going to read from. And so this is the actual tangrams that can be arranged in many different ways to create either animals or humans. So tangrams are an ancient Chinese puzzle. They are used today by adults and they are used by children as well. So you can also create your own tangram and make some of these animals in this story. And as the story progresses, it will show you how the tangrams are made, and it will show you each tangram, and maybe a rabbit, a squirrel, or a wolf, okay? And it will show you how the tangrams are made. They do not overlap. Tangrams do not overlap. They always just touch. And there's a series of, each shape is called a tan, and in creating a picture, all 7 tans must be used and they must touch, but never overlap. So they can't overlap, they just are touching, okay? So when tangrams are used in storytelling, they are arranged in, the storyteller arranges the tans to show the shape of a character in the tale. As a new character or story element is introduced, the puzzle pieces are rearranged to represent the new character or the new element. And the fox fairies in Grandfather Tang story is an important part of Chinese folklore. They are believed to be endowed or given supernatural powers of transforming or changing themselves into various things. So fox fairies are said to have lived for 800 to 1,000 years. And so this is a story that Ann Tolbert has told using tangrams in her story. And also it's been illustrated by Robert Andrew Parker, okay? So this is the story, and I'm going to begin reading it to you, okay? Here's the first page, an illustrated page here that you can look at. All right. So Grandfather Tang and Little Sue were sitting under a peach tree in their backyard. They were amusing each other by making different shapes with their tangram puzzles. Let's do a story about fox fairies, said Little Sue. So Grandfather Tang arranged his 7 tangram pieces into the shape of a fox. Then Grandfather Tang made another fox with Little Sue's 7 tangram pieces. Little Sue clapped her hands as her grandfather began. Next page. And you can see the 2 tangrams that were created. Okay, there you go. All right. Although Chow and Wu Ling were best friends, so this is the story about the fox fairies that I'm going to tell you that her grandfather Tang told her. So I'm going to tell the story he told to his granddaughter. Although Chow and Wu Ling were best friends, they were always trying to outdo each other. One day, this rivalry, or this rivalry, which is like when you battle someone, almost brought their friendship to a tragic end. They were sitting under their favorite willow tree beside a river talking about their magic powers. I can change myself into a rabbit as quick as a wink, boasted Wu Ling. I bet you can't do that. I can too, said Chow. Cannot, said Wu Ling. Anyway, actions speak louder than words, and he changed himself into a rabbit. So there you go. There he is, and that's the tangram that was made. Okay. And there were like 7 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pieces. If you count them, I'm going to bring it really close so you can count them. Okay, so 7 pieces. Okay, and you notice they are not overlapping. So the story goes on. Not bad, said Chow, smoothing his whiskers. But watch me do better than that. And before Wu Ling could blink, Chow changed from a fox into a dog. So here's a tangram of the dog. Now, when Chow changed himself into a dog, he not only looked like a dog, but he felt like a dog, and he acted like a dog, and he bared his teeth and lashed his tail like a dog. Wu Ling shivered and twitched his nose. I love rabbits, Chow growled, and I'm going to get you and gobble you up. The dog edged closer and closer. Wu Ling's eyes grew bigger and bigger, and he too was so frightened to move at first, but then he thought, I'll be safe if I climb up this tree, this willow tree. So his little puff of a tail grew longer and bushier, and his tall ears shrunk as Wu Ling transformed himself into a squirrel. Wu Ling sprang into the willow tree and scrambled to the top. Chow will probably turn himself into a cat so he can climb up the tree after me. Wu Ling said to himself, but he'll never catch me. I'll jump from tree to tree and he won't be able to follow me. Of course, Chow thought about changing himself into a cat, but that's just what Wu Ling expects me to do. He said to himself, what can I do to surprise him? He thought and he thought, I know, I'll swoop down upon him from above. And he turned himself into that's the tangram of the squirrel, and he turned himself into a hawk. There you go. Chow circled around and around in the sky above the willow tree, searching for Wu Ling. Wu Ling peered through the leaves, looking for Chow on the ground. Round and round, Chow circled the willow tree until he spied Wu Ling. He shrieked as he swooped down upon the squirrel. Wu Ling trembled. Chow's beak looked sharp enough to pierce right through him. If only I lived in a shell house, he thought, then Chow couldn't hurt me. Chow stuck out his fierce claws to size Wu Ling, but Wu Ling dove toward the river below the willow tree, and as he dove, he tucked his head and tail and legs and turned green and changed into a turtle. Wu Ling climbed up on a mossy rock in the middle of the river. He thought he was safe because he looked as if he were part of the rock. Chow circled round and round, searching and searching until his sharp eyes spotted the turtle. Then he swooped down toward him. But just as Chow reached him, Wu Ling plunged into the water. That means he went deep into the water. Follow me and you'll drown, he cried. Don't worry, cried Chow, plunging right behind Wu Ling. His body grew longer, covered with scales. He whipped the water with his long, wicked tail, and he snapped his spiked spike-toothed jaws as he turned into a... So that's a tanagram of the turtle. So he snapped his spike-toothed jaws as he turned into a crocodile. Wu Ling circled round and round as he plunged down, down, down into the bottom of the river. Chao lashed his wicked tail as he plunged after Wu Ling. Just as they reached the bottom, Chao clamped Wu Ling in his spike-toothed mouth. "Now I've got you," he bellowed through his clenched teeth. "Oh, no, you haven't," cried Wu Ling, who grew smaller and smaller and changed himself from green to gold as he transformed himself into a goldfish. And there's the tanagram of the goldfish. And he swam out of Chao's mouth between his spiked teeth as a goldfish. Then he hid in a patch of cattails. Chao turned the water with his lashing tail as he charged into the patch after Wu Ling, with his head swinging back and forth and his eyes darting here and there. He searched for Wu Ling. Wu Ling knew that Chao would not give up until he found him. "I must fly from here," he thought. And he started to honk as he transformed himself into a goose. Chao charged after him, but Wu Ling spread his wings and took into the air. Chao watched him fly to a small island where a flock of geese were feeding. But now he was not only very angry, he was very hungry. He decided that he could not catch Wu Ling. Any goose would make a good dinner. He splashed through the water toward the island until he reached it. "Honk, honk," called Wu Ling, and he took to the air. A chorus of honks swelled the air as a flock of geese spread their wings to follow him. While Chao watched, the honking grew fainter, the flock grew smaller, and he felt his anger slowly drain away. "Why, oh why did we play this stupid game?" he moaned. "I'll never see Wu Ling again." He closed his eyes and he sank toward the river's bottom. Just as he touched it, however, he had a thought, and he popped up again, a goose himself. Moments later, Chao was flying after Wu Ling and other geese. He could hardly see or hear them at first, but he did not let this discourage him. Calling upon every last bit of his strength, he forged ahead. That means he kept going. That's what forge means. Each flap of his wings brought him closer. The wedge of the geese grew bigger. The honking grew louder, and at last Chao found himself flying beside Wu Ling. "I'm tired of our silly game," he cried. "Come back with me to our willow tree." Before Wu Ling could answer, something stung Chao's right wing. He sank toward the ground. A hunter had shot Wu Ling, flew down beside Chao, placing his left wing under Chao's smashed right wing, and together they fluttered down to the edge of the forest. The hunter ran toward them. Fly away, Chow urged Wu Ling. Save yourself. Fly, fly. I won't desert you, cried Wu Ling. And with a mighty roar, he changed himself into a lion. The hunter raised his bow. Wu Ling sprang toward him and knocked the bow from his hand. The hunter fled, leaving his bow behind. Wu Ling and Chow returned to their fox shapes, and Wu Ling helped Chow to his den, where he took care of him until he was mended. He took him to the den till he could start to get healed up. Did they ever play that game again? Asked little Sue. Many times, said Grandfather, but they were very, very careful. That was a good story, said little Sue. Let's do another. Grandfather arranged his 7 tangram pieces. Is this story going to be about a man? Asked little Sue. Yes, said Grandfather. He is old and he's tired. He wants to sit under a tree and rest a while. Is he a grandfather like you? Asked little Sue. Yes, said her grandfather, just like me. Little Sue arranged the 7 pieces of tangrams beside her grandfather's. And is that a little girl? He asked. Yes, said little Sue, just like me. He'll sit and rest beside that man. That will make him very happy, said Grandfather Tang. And now, little Sue, what will we do? We'll sit and rest together until Mother calls us for supper, said little Sue. That will make me very happy, said Grandfather. So there's the tangrams. And if you look really closely, if you count them, you'll see that there are 7. So on the back page of the book, you see the tangram. And if you want, you can try to see if you can cut those shapes. If you make your shapes look similar to that, you can actually make all the tangram animals that are in the book. So it's really nice to know that this is an ancient Chinese folklore story that's been told through the ages. It's interesting to see different customs from different places. So this is a story from China, and it is a nice story, and it's very entertaining, and I thought you might like it. So I hope you did. And so it's a tale that was told with tangrams, and that's what a tradition that they do when they tell stories. They use tangrams to illustrate some of the stories. So I hope you enjoyed the story, and it took me a while to do it because I had to get it right. It was not quite perfect, but it's good enough, I think. So have a great weekend and week, and until I see you again, enjoy. Goodbye.